This is Brian Krasno from the Daily News. A little emotionally charged today because I've finally seen the Star Wars trailer.
That was an unbelievable trailer.
I
Was it
cried.
not?
Cried twice.
Great trailer. That's going to be a great movie.
When Boba Fett shoots to the top of that tower, I was...
You know Darth Maul's going to be back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a sappy little girl whenever I was watching this trailer. But you should introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, everybody knows who I am. But I'm Jim DeBruze. I'm the greatest man alive. And you'll find that out eventually as the show goes on.
You're the target of all the ill feelings.
Oh, the what?
You're the target of all the ill feelings.
That's right.
It's your fault.
People hate me.
Well, as you can see, it's Jim and I kind of starting out the proceedings this week, and our colleagues Rennie DeTore and Tom Combetti will be with us very soon to break down and pretty much destroy Survivor Series.
Break down as in cry, or either way.
That's what I had in mind. We are going to obviously talk about Survivor Series, and there's a lot to talk about. The matches have finally been revealed.
Thanks, Mick.
Yeah. And we have some other things to talk about, like the WWF's top two stars singing together.
Rant subject for myself later, but
Well, there you
we'll
go.
get into that.
But when we come back from this, we're just going to start right off in the sour crap. We're going to get into the viewer mail, including the debut of I Hate PWR at CS.com. That's right, it's I Hate PWR at CS.com. I'm sorry, Jim, what's that email address
That was
again?
I hate PWR at CS.com.
We got our first email from that this week, and oh, it's a doozy. So we're going to come back right after this, and we're going to read some viewer mail. So please come back.
Email ever to I hate PWR at CS.com.
What's that email? I didn't hear the email.
I hate PWR at CS.com.
I got it that time.
The
Thank
first piece of mail ever, and I thank you for that. The subject is, you guys are the biggest piece of crap I've ever seen.
Period. Well, you only need 3 for one, but that's
That's true.
okay.
And here's the text of said letter to I hate PWR at CS.com. You guys are an insult to television. Your show is not entertaining, but pure bull. I swear to God, if I ever meet any of you, I will not be able to hold back and kill you for the pieces of crap that you are. In summary, he sums it up for us. I will be a happy man when you 4 disappear from this planet. Well, I don't know.
And amazingly not signed.
Well,
That's
I
incredible.
guess despite him, now we're going to have to cancel that trip to Mars PWR was going to do.
Yeah, that's right.
So we got to tell our producer, just unpack all the equipment. We're
Yeah.
not going to Mars.
Well, not to jump on a moral kick here, but it's nice to see that in this time of tolerance, after we've lost, 5,000 people in New York, that
Right.
somebody would wish all 4 of us dead. You're a true American. You're a true patriot. You're a true piece of crap, and turn your television off.
No, we're the biggest piece of crap.
Oh, that's
We
us.
are.
I'm sorry. That's us.
That's
I
right.
apologize.
We insulted this gentleman.
Well, you're at least the 5th biggest, but whatever. This is the stuff we wanted. Thank you. But see, you know what? The good thing about
that's
it,
the stuff for I hate PWR at CS.com.
it's true. The credit I would give this, he says he's a man. All right. The credit I would give this individual is this is true, pure hatred.
And he didn't waste time on the website to post this.
Yes.
And that's what we want, because a lot of people, as we'll see as we read on, really don't want to read this on the website.
Right.
But we'll accept them
and
at
his-
I hate PWR at CS.com.
And as tasteless as it was, he wished our demise. He
Right.
called us an insult to television, which I won't dispute.
I've seen some bad television over the years, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, after that, I think we need an ego boost. How about it?
I guess.
Well, okay, this one's from Scott Harvey from West Mifflin, posted on our website. You guys do a great job each week. For those people that feel inclined to send something to I hate PWR at CS.com, I guess their last names must be Munchik. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
No, that's okay.
Sorry. But no, thanks for the comments, Scott. We appreciate it. And as you just saw, the people that are sending to I hate PWR at CS.com, that's what we want. And we appreciate your kind comments and hope you keep watching.
But I will give this guy, for the I hate PWR thing before that, he did send this email out before the horrible tragedy of this past week. So
Sure.
I'm being serious. We probably should point it out that he did write that before that happened.
I think right after the show last week.
Yes.
As looking at the date and time.
So I don't want this person to seem completely cold and heartless, just partially.
Right.
So, well, we've got some other interesting things to go through. And if you've noticed, we've mentioned the webpage from time to time that there are places on the webpage where you can post your comments to the questions that we supply for you.
Except for my page, because I'm scared.
Yes, you little chicken.
Not my page. Don't respond there.
Run and hide. I had put a question up on the page actually it was probably this last weekend. At that point, there had only been one match revealed for Survivor Series, and I was asking some of the individuals what they felt that some of the matches would be for Survivor Series, and it's pretty neat because a lot of people really got some of the matches. Peter Zahut, or Pete Zahut from Pittsburgh, said Dudley's Hardys for the WCW tag titles, and they are going to be meeting in a steel cage match. Won't be for the WCW. Well, it will be, but it'll be a unification match instead. One that was interesting, Mike Eagler from Pittsburgh said the Hardys shouldn't face it. No, I'm sorry. Let me step back. AJ from McKee Sports said from the looks of things, the Hardys breakup's going to happen, and he's proposing them in a ladder match. Well, Mike Eagler from Pittsburgh responded to that, which is how we kind of like these message boards to work. You post one thing, and then somebody says, no, I don't agree. Anyway, Mike says, the Hardys shouldn't face each other in the ladder match, at least not so soon. That is if the WWE even decides to do that, and obviously they're not now. There are just too many ladder matches. If the Hardys did face each other, it should be in a steel cage or something. And not those gay steel cage matches they have. I want the old ones, the big bars of metal instead of cage made out of mesh like fence. Well, it's actually funny because the Hardys won't be facing each other, but they'll be facing the Dudleys for the unified titles in a steel cage. And I'm sorry, Mike, it will be in the gay steel cage.
I would prefer that one over the bars. Maybe it's because WCW used the fence.
Yeah, I always liked the
versus
fence
WWF.
myself, too. But you know what? It was actually more here I go. Here's another childhood story. When I was a kid and had the WWF figures, they made the steel cage set. It was the blue cage. It was actually easier making the wrestlers climb the cage.
That's true.
Yes.
I only had a ring. I never had a steel cage match.
That's because you were deprived.
Oh, apparently it was.
Just kidding. No, but go ahead.
We're going to switch over to Rennie's page. He had a question about Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
This one from John in Pittsburgh. Demoted. What are you talking about? RVD is the most innovative wrestler of all time. So what if he busts guys open? If the crew cannot handle it, then they should wrestle for ICW. RVD is the future of sports entertainment. RVD is a main event wrestler. Well, we kind of talked about this before. I think we make a bigger issue about RVD busting people open than the WWF does.
Sure.
But here's my thing. You bust one guy open, yeah, you're hard-hitting. You bust two guys open, it's a mistake. You bust three guys open, it's a trend that should be corrected.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not healthy to do this.
Yeah.
As far as RVD being demoted, I think he kind of was. I mean, he's still in the main event for Survivor Series.
Yeah.
But as I've said before countless times, that you need to demote him, let him learn some more, and he will be the main event star you expect.
You know,
You got to let him learn more. I'm sorry. You got to let him learn more. You got to let him develop his personality a little more. That's basically it.
Well, we should point this out too, I think, and I know there's a lot of Van Dam fans out there who are heavily supportive of him, but you can't bust guys open. You can't do that. It's bad protocol.
He's up to 5. I mean, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's hard hitting, but you can be hard hitting without busting people open and injuring people.
Yeah, but any wrestler will tell you. I mean, we mentioned Bret Hart in the show a couple weeks ago, that your responsibility as a wrestler is to get in there with your opponent and protect him. You're not supposed to go in there and injure him. You're not supposed to get in a ring with a guy and expect that when you leave you're going to have a bloody lip or a bloody nose or something like that.
And that can make you gun shy as far. I'm not saying anyone's, for lack of a better term, a wuss about it, but I mean, it could make you gun shy in your moves.
Right.
I mean, granted, as far as RVD doing it, maybe make his own offense a little gun shy, but like you just can't bust people open like that.
It's a bad way of doing business.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, we're going to come back. You think that's all the quotes and comments we have from you? Oh, no. We've got enough for another segment.
Wow.
So I guess we're going to send ourselves out of here and go and try to rebuild our egos, and we'll come back after this. And we're just coming back to do more viewer mail and viewer comments.
Just looking at the sheets I have, we got a lot of positive feedback this week.
We did. Now,
Over the course of a couple of weeks, I should say.
We should point that out. I mean, we do make probably a bigger deal than we need to about the hecklers. But we actually get, I would say 90% of the mail we get is positive. And we thank you for sending those type of comments in. And,
or on the website. Or you could email us too. It's prowrestlingreview@lycos.com. If you have a longer letter you'd like to send us, happy to look at it.
And that's, right. And that's also, we should mention, we do mention the other email address, I hate PWR@cs.com.
Exactly.
But don't mistake, that's not for criticism. If you have constructive criticism of the show, things you think we can do better, things you'd like to see, features you'd like to see, send that to prowrestlingreview@lycos.com. We'd be happy to, if we don't personally respond, we'll try to.
Actually, let me throw this in real quick. The year-end awards, we have gotten a tremendous response at prowrestlingreview@lycos.com. I'm forgetting where you click on the website.
The photo gallery.
You click on photo gallery, you'll see the categories and send those ballots in.
Yeah, we got a lot this week, so we're really happy. I mean, our Christmas show, which we mentioned last week, and we have some great plans for that thing. We're going to reveal the year-end awards on the Christmas show, so that'll be exciting. So please send them in right now, as we speak. But just to get to some more of the mail, just to prove that some of the stuff we get is positive. Gary from Katanning, PA, says that as far as our show goes, it's great. It's the only wrestling critic I watch. even if I had to put aluminum foil on the old antennas. And I used to actually, seriously, it's going to sound like a joke, but when I was in college, when I was like channel 63 or some crazy channel like that, they used to have every Tuesday night, they would have a block of wrestling. It would start at like 9 or 10 at night. And that's like when ECW really wasn't on around here. It would start with ECW. No, you know what? I said Tuesday night. I'm sorry. It was every night at like 10 o'clock. Like Tuesday nights was ECW. Wednesday was like USWA. Thursday was Smoky Mountain. And then they had like some wrestling from the Mid-Atlantic region. It was great. But that's how I got it. I had to put foil on the antenna.
I used to have this big, long, for lack of a better term, rabbit ears. It was like this big, and I had to like situate it. That was before cable came into my life. So last year, you know.
Cable.
Cable.
We also have Ray from West Mifflin. He says, I love to read your columns, but I barely ever have time to post anything. I figured this would be a good time to make up for it. I'd just like to say I appreciate you guys taking time out of your lives to write your entertaining and sometimes informative columns. Each week I'm always looking forward to reading your news column. And by the way, I also want to say, okay, that's it. That's the whole letter. So, you know, we try to get the columns up there every now and again, and except for you.
Well, yeah, I try.
But, you know, thank you, Ray, and for all the people who sent in some positive stuff. And I know
This one's a good one. This is from Goon Man, close to Flair Country, South Carolina.
Goon Man, a close personal friend of Pro Wrestling Review.
Yes.
That's the truth.
A displaced Pittsburgher, I'll assume after reading this. For the first time in about 3 months, I saw the most exciting 30 seconds on SmackDown. Well, it wasn't on SmackDown. It was during the commercial break. It was a commercial for North American title run. The spokesman was none other than the unemployed Ric Flair. Well, how he can make me want to put my car title up for a loan just shows that he still has it. and the WCW would be well off to bring him in, even if he is in a non-wrestling role. Even watching Flair pop up on the scoreboard after seeing the Pens blow a 2-goal lead at Raleigh the other night was more entertaining than anything Stephanie has done lately.
Yes.
Obviously a displaced Pittsburgher. Well,
yes.
Can Flair come back because he's still under contract?
Well, I think he is, but he's mentioned publicly now that he wants to be in the WWF by mid-2002. He wants to try to work out a deal. I mean, he's not getting any younger, and I think if he wants to try to come back...
I would think at that point he would take a buyout if it was offered.
Yeah, I would think so, because he wouldn't have that much time left, really, on his contract. We got a letter from David Sudia. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I heard some rumors that Hulk Hogan is to return to the WWF. Is there any light to this rumor? Well, not right now. Last year for WrestleMania, Vince McMahon had contacted him to fight Triple H. They wanted to do a one-time only thing. Hogan's loosely associated to this XWF promotion that's going to be taping. Actually, they taped in Universal Studios this past week. But as of right now, there's nothing really to those rumors. It's not that it couldn't happen. I mean, WrestleMania is coming around. It's going to be at the Sky Dome. So you had... you said you had one more that you
Yeah,
had
one
there.
more. I guess we're running out of time. So
Yeah, we
get
are.
this.
Okay.
Well, not everybody that writes us seems to like us. And
Okay.
I'll just read this. This is from Matt G. in Green Tree.
Okay.
I have to call the Bruzo to task for using the I don't contribute to this site because I have a 50-hour work week. Well, I don't know about that. A person who lives near Jim told me that he is constantly home day and night. What do you have to say now that your lie has been exposed? As Chris Benoit would say, prove me wrong.
I knew it!
Well,
Shut up. I knew it. You know, I go out and I go onto the internet site and I try to stick up for you and say, you know, you haven't put a column up, you work, you know, and I drive by your house at 5. Shut up. I drive by your house at 5 in the morning. I see you standing outside in your lawn. Jim, aren't you supposed to be working? Are you doing open yet? You know, you pompous ass.
I thanked you for that.
Come on.
You're the one that
lie
said
has been exposed. Matt from Green Tree has told the truth, and we've revealed it here on Pro Wrestling Review. Jim, you are officially banned from the rest of the show for today. Just go to your job.
I have a job. It takes up a lot of time.
Yeah, okay. All right, we're going to go. Jim's going to go for good, at least for this week. All right, take your little microphone off. We'll be back after this, and Jim's going to go home and post a column. Jim off the air. We've got Rennie and Tom back with us, and actually, since we taped just in between these two segments, we've actually been handed some pretty big news that there's a possibility that Ric Flair is going to come to an agreement with the WWF this weekend and possibly be on Raw Monday night. This is tentative, but it's pretty big, and I don't know, this may change Survivor Series a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends like what they want to do with Survivor Series. If, we've speculated before that the WWF's obviously going to win Survivor Series and the Alliance is going to fold, but maybe bringing Ric Flair in will be something that they can say, well, this is the guy that should have led WCW from the beginning, and maybe he can come back. And I certainly would be interested to see interactions between Vince McMahon and Ric Flair.
Oh yeah, that definitely would be something to see. And Flair and McMahon have always been on good terms ever since Flair left the WWF in '93. And he really needs a good send-off.
Right. And I think Vince can give that to him.
Tom, you kind of snicker over there.
Well, I wanted to touch base with the fact that, the WWF is slated to win the Alliance. It's in all the odds and all the papers. And this was a very interesting conversation. We'll get back to the Flair thing. Flair's probably the best wrestler, a god of all time. But what about the World Wildlife Fund? I mean, is it possible the WWF is not going to retain the name WWF? That sounds very stupid.
No,
but the little panda bears and koala bears need that name because no one's going to recognize. I mean, how many times have you gone to the WWF's website looking for a panda bear or a Kodiak mauling some poor man? So is it a foregone
that's how Jerry
conclusion?
Lynn got hurt, actually.
Oh, you mean that guy that has all the talent in the world, but he's in Ohio Valley mopping up floors? No, is it a foregone conclusion, though, that the WWF's going to win or whatever the freak the pay-per-views called?
Yeah,
Survivor Series.
It seems like. I mean, we'll get to that, but I don't know. Does that have an impact on Flair, though? Or could Flair just be a replacement for somebody else that we should talk about, is Mick Foley, who came to agreement to leave the WWF? Could he maybe just be jumping in as a WWF commissioner role, even though that would make absolutely no sense?
Not only so much not make any sense, that just kills the impact of Flair showing up.
Yeah.
Hey, he's back, and he's going to take over Foley's job of selling books. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'd rather not see that.
But it's something you could see happening.
Oh, definitely, especially with the way the WWF mindset has been lately.
The thing about Ric Flair is, I mean, for 3 decades he's been from strong to very strong to in between, I'd say. His character has not gotten old, although he has. You know what I mean? In WCW, how many interviews did he cut that were must-see interviews? And this is 30 years after the fact that, well, you have a guy like Hogan who, after 10 years was stale, after 2 minutes was stale in his wrestling ability. Flair's character has been consistent all those years. And how many times did they try to bury him? How many times did Eric Bischoff try to bury him with, what was the one angle where he went insane and was dancing in the old folks' home or whatever? Yeah. Flair is still present. You know what I mean to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know the point you're trying to make, and the fact that WCW put Flair through a lot of crap, and even to come out of that, and if Ric Flair does show up, on Monday on Raw, it's still going to be a big deal because he's still Ric Flair. But even though WCW put him through, like you said, being insane, things like that. But what I'll remember most about Flair is his last interview on Nitro. The guy had a lot to talk about. He talked about WCW, he talked about NWA and things like that. So. Oh yeah, I mean you can't even say that a Ric Flair showing up, it would not be a big deal.
And that's I'm sorry.
No, it was just like, you mean WCW has a history?
Yeah, apparently.
I thought Booker T was the first champ. I'm sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
No, see, just going back to what Rennie was saying about Flair's last interview on Nitro, and the WWF's never been one to preserve history, but. That's another reason why it wouldn't make any sense for him to be coming in a WWF role, because he made that big stand on Nitro saying McMahon's not going to take over this company, he's not going to destroy WCW's legacy, even though he did. And for him to come in and just take a job with McMahon and start doing what Mick Foley essentially was doing just wouldn't make any sense. But it would have a big impact if the Alliance ended up winning Survivor Series somehow, and he came out the next night on Raw. I think that would be huge, and it would make Raw absolutely must-see television.
Well, the thing, too, you talk about the Alliance winning. If they do win, are we going to see something like we saw in July when the Alliance, they won the big match, and then, here's Raw's on, and nothing's changed. It's the same beginning. It's the same everything. If you want the Alliance to win, that's fine, but you're still going to have to start on Raw with their show and build some credibility for them.
Yeah.
Which, we'll get to more of that when we talk about Survivor Series, though. But one thing about Mick Foley we should probably bring up, if you heard his comments this past week on Raw, you might think that his firing had something to do with that. I'm sorry, not his firing, his leaving the WWF. When actually he met with Vince McMahon earlier in the week, and those two agreed to part on the same terms. So they're saying right now that Foley's comments from Raw had nothing to do with him getting fired. But you have to draw comparisons. It was quite the coincidence that he left the WWF after what he said.
Yeah, but I think following up on what Paul Heyman said on SmackDown, I think that was sort of the antennas to start bringing some of the more, I don't know if you want to say shoot light, because, as good as Paul Heyman's promo was, how many people in the audience actually understood what he was talking about? But I just think it was part of just part of the WWF strategy this week to make it a little bit more shocking and cutting edge, and But we should also mention just 2 other guys before we leave break here. There's also talk Jerry Lawler could return to the announcing booth this weekend or Monday. Some sources are saying that he's already got a deal with XWF. It's like pretty short term. It's like a month deal. I mean, he's running the ship there. But hey, there's nothing confirmed there, so you never know. So keep your eyes open for that. And our good buddy here, Eddie Guerrero, released by the WWF after being arrested on a DUI last weekend. And that comes off a stint in rehab. So
It's
sorry,
unfortunate
Eddie.
for Eddie.
Make way for Scott Hall.
We just never got Tito's response to this, though. I mean, being
Who?
Tito Santana.
Why do we want his?
I really don't know. I don't even know why I brought it up.
All right, then. Okay, well, we're going to come back, and we're going to talk a little bit about Survivor Series, so stay tuned.
The Pro Wrestling Review, I can't stress that enough. And, well, my openings have just gotten consistently worse, but we are consistent, so they are getting worse. Rennie,
I
why
thought
don't
this
you...
was the show that prides itself on its inconsistency.
No, that's Cartorama. Why don't you
TRL.
give the people what they want?
Oh, okay. I'll leave. No. Actually, I'm going to read the questions from last week. Question number 1, what was the match that never aired at WrestleMania 8?
Should have been a lot of them for that matter.
Yeah. The answer was the Berserker and the British Bulldog. Unfortunately, no one got that right.
Fortunately, no one cared.
Well, even back then. Question number 2, name the 2 teams from the 1995 Survivor Series wildcard match. It was Shawn Michaels, Ahmed Johnson, a favorite on this show, Sid, the British Bulldog, and they took on Yokozuna, Owen Hart, Razor Ramon, and the always awesome Dean Douglas. Name the first man that qualified for the 1995 King of the Ring tournament. The actual answer was Mabel. He beat Adam Baum in what we deem a slugfest on this show. And question from last week's show. I actually named the band. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Name the band that performed on Raw and introduced Test as their bodyguard, and it was actually Motley Crue. We're going to give it to Dino DeGregory, who got 3 out of 4.
Oh, my God.
And actually, I know, we're slipping. And but his first answer was Bushwhackers versus Beverly Brothers, but at least he had those guys in the right time frame, so to speak.
Yeah.
Unlike someone who put Flash Funk and Billy Gunn. What the hell?
Well, you know what? This is noteworthy because Joe's 55-week winning streak has come to an end.
Yeah, unfortunately, those pizza boxes won't get any higher. So
Joe will have to scrounge for food this week. Oh, well.
Well, tell Dino what he almost won.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, we're still going to send him the coupon. So.
Well, Dina, from the original Pizza Works in Dravosburg, Pennsylvania, United States of America, Eastern Standard Time Zone, you win a large pizza with 1 topping and order chicken wings and a 2-liter bottle of carbonated beverage of your choosing. And
Rock'em, sock'em.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Question for this week's show is...
Well, in light of the Survivor Series pay-per-view that's tonight, it's tomorrow night, which I know none of you will be watching anyway. You remember the first Survivor Series? Because we sure do. What was Hogan and Andre's, name the people comprising their team in the first ever Survivor Series. And here's a hint. One of them punched out a police officer on a plane. That's just a hint, and that is true. Well, actually, it was a stewardess. I'm sorry.
You're going to have to narrow that down.
Well, let me repeat the question here. Name Hogan and Andre's team at the first ever Survivor Series, and be creative with that little hint I gave. So answer the 3 on the website. Answer this 4th tonight when you see it, ProWrestlingReview.com, and you'll get pizza. Maybe Rennie will even show up at your door, just as a bonus.
I deliver it. That's part of the rules now.
That's not a bad stipulation.
Yeah, okay. I'll keep it in mind. All right, well, that was trivia, and we'll be back. We want to talk a little bit about tomorrow night's pay-per-view Survivor Series, the biggest pay-per-view in the industry, or so they say.
Huge.
And where would we be without the big 10-man main event, which will determine the fate of one company? Probably the Alliance.
Well, never mind.
What?
I was going to say, wouldn't it more or less determine WWF's fate, because from week to week, the soap opera, the Hollywood TV writers don't care which company survives, and all they care about is The Rock's little catchy strudel promos and garbage.
Yeah, we'll have to get to the Rock and Austin's promo a little bit later, but Brian, why don't you rattle off those teams for us?
Oh, man, it's a good thing 'cause I've got my scorecard here. We have on Team WWF, that would be Chris Jericho, Kane, Undertaker, Big Show. Who am I forgetting?
The Rock.
The Rock, yeah.
Imagine
And now,
I forgot
I
The
did
Rock.
that for you, Tom.
Oh,
Tell us
thank you.
who's on Team WWF too.
Yeah. That would be Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, Booker T, Shane McMahon, and that's right, you guessed it, everybody's favorite. He should be the champ, but he's not, Rob Van Dam. And That's it. Thank you for joining us. That's been your Survivor Series wrap-up. I don't know.
Honestly, when you look at these two teams and you look at the quote-unquote Team WCW or Team Alliance, all they are WWF and ECW guys.
Yep.
I mean, Booker
No,
T,
they're not.
if you even want to consider Booker T a WCW wrestler anymore, the guy loses all the time. He might as well be, Emery Hale.
It's almost like the 10-man tag at Invasion. It's almost the same match. I mean, it's a little different, but,
Oh, but let's inform the viewers. This is, in fact, elimination. So hopefully your friends, if you are watching the pay-per-view, one by one, you'll get up and leave the room during the match, which, we're hoping
Or you can
for.
bet on who's going to be eliminated.
It's
It's kind of like the Royal Rumble, but less
the biggest
importance.
pay-per-view box office draw in the history of wrestling.
let me bring something up before we really get into this, because this just kind of maybe to me, this is how it expresses the magnitude of me of how badly the WWF has screwed this up. I remember sitting in Cleveland at Guns Arena during the Invasion pay-per-view, before when the main event's getting ready to go, and they've got this WCW entrance and this WWF entrance, and like one by one they're doing their entrances into the match for this big 10-man tag, and I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, this is going to be great. I mean, they're starting this thing off right. They're just doing all the right moves right now, and boy, how things have changed because there's like nothing I could think of they could do right other than a hands-down Alliance victory tomorrow. They could possibly salvage this. I don't even know if that would salvage it.
I'm going to disagree with you about the Alliance victory because I think the WWF has conceded to the fact that they've screwed up, and I think the WWF is going to win, and I think the Alliance is going to be taken off of TV for at least until the new year. And then again, that depends on what they're going to do if they can get Ric Flair
And Hall
Maybe-
Nash.
Well, exactly. That may play a big part into it, but I think having the Alliance win now is kind of it's kind of a moot thing because they still don't have any credibility. The Alliance won an Invasion, and nothing ever came of it. So
True.
I don't think them winning the big match, so to speak, is going to make much of a difference. I think they just need to start over.
With one company coming out, obviously the victor, you have a whole roster, a slew of other guys. Is this just going to be one of those half-assed things where Monday on Raw after the pay-per-view you see guys like, well, if you would see them on TV, like Mike Awesome, Lance Storm, just doing their normal thing without any regard for the fact that, well, our company's out of business. Are you going to see guys like that? I mean,
That's a
or are
good
they just
point.
going to be pulled right from TV and all you're going to have are like people like Perry Saturn and Spike Dudley? Or Spike, did he? Who cares?
Well, the thing is, if the WWF does win, when the WWF wins,
Yeah.
I think if they want people to think that the Alliance is actually done, they will take those guys off TV.
Yeah.
But you have to look and say, well, okay, can you take Kurt Angle? Can you take Steve Austin? Can you take Rob Van Dam off of TV?
Yeah.
Obviously, Booker T's not included because he doesn't really matter anymore anyway.
Right.
But, that is a good point, whether or not they're going to actually go through with it or just, have that WWF amnesia and just forget about everything that happened the night before.
Wouldn't it be a great storyline if the past 6 months were a dream, like on Dallas many, many moons ago?
that would
Like
be
somebody
great.
just dreamed this up, whether it was Stephanie, whether it was Vince, whether it was whoever. The whole past 6 months were a dream. You could take all the titles off everybody.
Vince McMahon goes to walk into the shower and Eric Bischoff's standing there.
Good morning.
Yeah. Oh, would that be, actually, that'd be kind of frightening.
Yes.
But
But this is sports entertainment. There's so much logic to it. It can't happen.
The WWF fancies itself as a sports entertainment group. They can obviously do that. Well, we dreamt this whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, those titles will mean so much more right after that. Oh, actually, they will. 6 months. When was the last time a guy held the title for 6 months? And I'm sorry.
I
Just
don't-
rambling.
Rob Van Dam had the hardcore title, or he still does actually.
Like I said, when was the last time a guy held the title for 6 months?
Well, yeah, hey, you know what? That's the other thing that you bring up. That what would they do with guys like Van Dam? Actually, that's a way to keep Van Dam on television because they did clarify on SmackDown that any guy holding a title will be immune. So if the Dudleys win the tag team titles, they'll be immune. They will be able to defend their titles on WWF television. So that would be one of those things. Rob Van Dam will still be the hardcore champion. So he could still wrestle on WWF television because he'll be immune.
Or, well, and again, maybe we should point out the fact that the storyline going into Survivor Series is not the invasion or anything of that sort. It's more who's going to jump to the WWF, even though they didn't touch on that too much on Raw. Obviously, Rob Van Dam's one of those guys that a lot of people think is going to jump. So obviously, if the WWF does win, he'll be okay anyway.
Right, so he doesn't have to. But you could always have a Kurt Angle or a Steve Austin jump, keep him on television. And you know what? Actually, we talked about this on the show before, and I can't believe that this is just popping into my head. We did talk about Kurt Angle. I think you said in the interview you did with him needing knee surgery. So maybe this is your opportunity to take Kurt Angle off television. He can get the knee surgery and then maybe come back in January when Hall and Nash come in or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things, and obviously they're just going to have to make that decision. But we're running short on time in this segment. We're going to come back and talk more about the biggest pay-per-view of all time next.
Heroes of Wrestling. trivia segment. The person in question, the hint I gave you, he didn't punch out a stewardess on a plane. He threw a brick through a McDonald's window for not serving pasta. I just wanted to get that out right now. So, happy answering with the trivia, but...
well, that's before they had the McShaker thing, so, he
What
was
a great idea.
He was a little pissed.
I just thought of something. Well, I guess our whole light-up night fell by the wayside. This was supposed to be Pro Wrestling Review light-up night.
It was?
Yeah, that's what you said last week.
I just made that up, though.
I thought
Like half
we
the
were
other
serious.
garbage
Brian,
stuff on the show.
you can't expect us to deliver on promises. not
Yeah,
can
I
we?
guess you're right.
Well, you know what? We should have had a lamp back there and just
Yeah.
click that sucker on.
Now I feel like one of the website readers.
Oh, well.
Well, anyway.
But anyway, we'd like to talk a little bit more about like you said before the break here, the biggest pay-per-view of all time this month, by the way, Survivor Series. And as far as the endings go, I mean, we have questionable number of people jumping from side to side, which brings up the point, if you know your team's going to lose, jump. But why jump to the team that's going to lose? Just common sense here. But I'm a big fan of the Triple H return. Completely, almost stacking the sides evenly when he runs out on the ramp or whatever the hell it is.
He
I
decides to
just
stay
miss-
to wrestling.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. I mean, he is probably second best only to Ric Flair in his heyday. So have Triple H run out. When he comes out, pull Bobby Heenan. Which side is he on? Seems like both sides at that point are equal because he could determine the fate of both companies, like you said. Have him stun and kick. I mean, he doesn't stun.
It could.
Pedigree the Rock so he can screw that up, or Austin or whoever the hell. And there's the ending. Bet on it.
If I was a betting man, I'd go with that.
I wouldn't.
Well, there you go.
I'm trying. No, never mind.
Well, we also
Anything's a possibility for this pay-per-view is what I'm trying to get
That's
at. So good or bad.
Well, to pull off from Mick Foley's final appearance on Raw, he decided to unify four titles actually, into two. Anyway, the Intercontinental Champion Test will be fighting the U.S. Champion Edge, and the
Even though Foley switched them.
yeah, well,
Which I don't blame him, actually.
I don't either. Probably intentional. And the WCW and WWF tag belts will
Hold
be,
on, I gotta brace myself for this one.
will be unified as the Hardy Boys fight the Dudleys. The Dudleys holding the WCW belts, Hardy's holding the WWF belts. I can't watch these
For the
guys fight one more.
200th time, at least, this year.
I remember when they fought at the Royal Rumble 2 years ago, thinking, man, this is really good. These are two young teams, innovative teams. What a great match. Now I'm just sort of like,
What the hell
no.
happened?
Yeah. But at least they're doing it in a cage. And,
So Jeff Hardy can do a backflip off the top of it, and everyone can go, "My God!"
And it doesn't even matter who wins this match. It's still going to be a tired tag team that is stale. And I don't want to watch anymore. So
Do you remember the days like the Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, when they were tag champions twice, and that meant something? Like,
Yeah.
holy hell, they held the tag titles twice.
right.
Hardy Boys have it like 4 times now already in the span of about 2 years.
Well, I realize with 2 different TV shows and pay-per-views every month, you're going to have crap like that. But still, it was just a day. It was just a moment I'd like to revel in. So I'm going to revel over here.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, and let's look at the Edge test match. 10 years ago, somebody would have come to you and said, in 10 years at the Survivor Series, the Intercontinental title and the U.S. titles will be unified in one match. That would seem like such a big deal because these belts were almost like the ECW TV title. It's like, okay, your world title meant more, but the TV title, that's always where you got your best matches. It was the same thing with this. The NWA title and the WWF title meant more, but you got your great matches with the Intercontinental and U.S. titles, and they meant so much. And now it's like, it's Test and Edge.
Well, and the thing that hurts that too is the fact that not the match wasn't good on Raw, but Edge beat Kurt Angle for the title. And it was like, well, we just had to do that kind of just so we could have the Test versus Edge match.
Right.
You could have built this match up for, I know this sounds really stupid for everyone out there who's so fickle, but you could have built this up for like 4 weeks, maybe 2 months.
Right.
But, in the age of TV...
Are you crazy? People get bored. They have the attention span of gnats.
I don't buy that excuse that we have to fill TV time. You can still fill TV time with good matches. Doesn't mean the titles have to change hands.
Yeah,
I agree.
why not longer title matches that mean more? Like, you announce on SmackDown that Monday night Edge is going to fight Lance Storm for the Intercontinental title, and they wrestle for
Lance
15
Storm's going to
minutes.
be busy. The vending machine needs stock.
Whatever happened to number 1 contenders matches for the IC title? My God, there's an idea.
Whatever happened to titles with credibility?
I can only answer one of these questions at a time.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, to
You're
go back
bombarding
on the Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys. Oh boy, lots of boys in that match. To go back on that match,
Spelled with Z's.
I faintly remember a tag team in 1998 who was, getting so stale that they just stuck a woman with her, i.e. Stacy Keibler with the Dudleys. They were a little thing called LOD 2000, and they had this horrible waist that was sunny with them. And look what happened.
Yeah.
It lasted for about 6 months. And
I don't even think it lasted that long, did it?
Yeah, and maybe 6 weeks.
Well, the Hawk drunk angle took over, which was amusing as hell, I'd like to add. But
It was great. Hawk thinks it ruined his career. Personally, it summed up and made Hawk's career for me.
I'd agree. And I'm agreeing with everyone.
But one thing you brought up during the break, Tom, the Immunity Battle Royal, I guess it's 20-man over-the-top Battle Royal, which was announced on SmackDown, like 72 hours before the pay-per-view.
And matter-of-factly, too,
Yeah, in Regal's office with that stupid Gregory Helms gimmick that they're doing with him being a reporter. So tired.
It was good the first week. I mean, oh my God, I get it. But then
Yeah.
I don't want it after the first week.
Come up
But-
with something new.
The Immunity Battle Royal, apparently there's going to be Robitussin on a pole in this match. And the first guy to get it can throw it in the eyes of his opponents. But this is just a toss-up. I mean, okay, let's see.
They don't even tell us who's in it.
We have, okay, say if Taz is in it, coming off that choking out of Heyman after
He
a
is
really
in
good promo. Taz, he wins. He's immune. But what's he going to do? Sit at the booth again and do commentary? Thank God you won that, Taz.
Yeah.
But there is one match. It was announced different websites, possibly, maybe on Heat. Christian versus Al Snow. And this is a match I really want to see for the fact that Al Snow hasn't been on TV for about 6 months. Christian just came off that great heel turn.
Yeah.
And they seem to have buried him with the guy that trained Tough Enough students.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry, Renegade.
No, I'm going to say, remember, Al Snow did wrestle Taz in that Tough Enough versus Tough Enough Trainers match. So,
Yeah, well, let's say they do Christian Al Snow, which obviously has tons of backstory.
Oh, absolutely.
And tie that in with the William Regal Tajiri match. Okay, this is the Survivor Series, right? Why couldn't we just have Tajiri have a team and Regal have a team, and then you have another 10-man elimination match? You can do the same thing with Christian and Al Snow because there's no freaking backstory. Have Christian put a team together, have Snow put a team together, and have an elimination match. I mean, to me it makes sense.
it's not going to
sa-
make the pay-per-view suck anymore.
For the same
Oh,
reason
yeah.
that the WWF made William Regal change his name from Steve to William. They already have a 10-man elimination. The casual fan will get mixed up and think that the lower match is for the company.
Well,
Stupid thinking, possibly the truth.
well, it's Cold War time again, and we're black and white, so we're going to go, and we're going to come back with our world-renowned, world-famous rants, so I beg of you, please return. We're going to do our rants, and I'm going to start off just building on something we talked about last segment, that being the title situation. With tomorrow night's unification matches, I'd like to say I'm excited about them, but I'm just not because they don't mean a damn thing. It means more like if Jim came back to the show and he and I fought for the Muscle Thing title. There's really, it's the same amount of build-up. Actually, there's a little bit more backstory. But, I would like to think that Mick Foley's rant from Monday night, where he kind of just ripped the title lineage and the current state of the titles in the WWF right now, I'd like to think that was actually going to produce some positive effects, and the WWF writers will sit down and realize that, we've kind of really crapped all over these belts, and there's different champions every week, and there's nothing wrong with, say Edge winning the Intercontinental title and then letting him hold it until WrestleMania, and letting him beat opponents each week on Raw. He doesn't have to fight a different guy every show. Matches like this, and I think Survivor Series is evidence of this, is that when you get a situation where you have a title unification, it doesn't mean anything and nobody cares about it, that you've destroyed your titles and you've just battered them and you've made them meaningless. But it doesn't mean that they can't be salvaged. If you let Edge win the title and let him hold it for a while, let the Hardys or the Dudleys, God forbid, one of those teams win the belts, and let him hold them for a while, and let him beat some teams, and let him get into some bloody feuds, and make people actually fight for these belts, and make people want them, and make people need them, then these belts will mean something. So the next time you have a big title match, people will be interested in it. It won't just seem so nothing like. All right, I've just butchered the English language enough, so Rennie, why don't you go ahead?
Continue to butcher the
Yes.
English language. I'm going to start my rant with a question. Are you one of those people who, when you watch Raw and you see Taz actually start to do something interesting, and you say, maybe this time they're going to do something with Taz? Well, I was one of those people last Monday on Raw. I guess he was supposed to have a match with Steve Austin. He cut a nice promo saying, when's a man most dangerous when he has nothing to lose? Fine. We're starting to see the old Taz break through. We go to the match with Steve Austin. It was a minute and a half. Him and The Rock are singing Looney Tunes at the end of the show, and I can't even get a 20-minute, let me rephrase that, a 10-minute match out of Taz and Austin. Why? What is so wrong with Taz? What did he do? Whose gym bag did he urinate in? That's all I want to know. I want to know why that when he debuted at the Royal Rumble in 2000 and beat Kurt Angle, the guy that's a big star right now, why the WWF hasn't done anything with him in the last 2 years. You move forward to SmackDown. Paul Heyman says a lot of good things about Taz, about how he's a wrestler, how he used to be a machine, and now he's a fat commentator and he's not very good at that. Paul Heyman was right, and inexplicably Taz choked out Heyman, which made absolutely no sense, and ended what was a good interview. So, the next time the WWF takes Taz and he actually looks like he's going to start doing something, I'm not going to care. I'm not going to pay attention because I'm tired of getting burned.
Taz is a little guy, right?
He's a little short.
Transition here. Anyway, watching the two, shows this past Monday. 2 shows on Monday, 2 wrestling shows, like we need another one. On Raw and SmackDown, watching the 2 quote-unquote shoot interviews, which were really good, by the way. It took me back to a time on WCW Nitro, which you could probably say any time from Nitro's existence to its end, when you could turn on Nitro and on any given night, the matches range from good to bad to we don't know why we threw those 2 out there to begin with. There was a time when you could see a guy go out there and just cut probably the worst promo of anything, slip up and say the F word 4 times without it getting bleeped, fall over in the ring drunk like Kurt Hennig did the one time, and you not on that one, or see a bird deliver a message to Sting, drop the message, and Eric Bischoff blamed the bird on the internet the next day. There was one other one too, let's see. Oh, the one time the NWO did take over from the first time they were there, and I believe Hogan, the Giant, Hall, and Nash destroyed the Nitro announcing booth, and the Giant tried to cut a promo for the life of him for 4 minutes, and Hogan kept interrupting him, and then he fell down the steps. It was just must-see TV for all the wrong reasons. And these 2 quote-unquote shoot interviews on Raw and SmackDown took me back to a time on Nitro when you could watch it and actually get excited because you didn't know it was going to happen. And the best part about it was the guys in the back writing all this crap, and it was entertaining crap at the time. Wow, this is good, even though it was very bad. And it just makes me, it makes me sad. The fact that you turn on Raw and there aren't any of those moments anymore. And no, I don't want to see Lance Storm come out and pass out in the ring because he's drunk, or Mike Awesome come out and fall down a flight of steps. But just the fact that Raw and SmackDown, for that matter, aren't interesting anymore, don't leave you guessing, don't leave you wondering, oh, something could happen. You know what's going to happen, and that's the problem.
Did the bird make a retort to Eric Bischoff on his own website?
Yeah, he said, when a bird does, right? It was just funny. How could you blame a mammal for dropping a
He
message?
actually went on the internet, though, and blamed
The bird
Oh,
ruined
no, I
the
remember
angle.
that. I know. I'm just kind of laughing at the bird's response.
Fired him via FedEx. Go ahead, Brian.
Is an eagle a mammal?
What is it?
I don't know.
I think so. It's
You
hot.
should call somebody.
It's hot-blooded.
Oh God, we better end this show.
Yes.
Which one?
My column's called Sharpshooter. You can read it right now. Pick up the Daily News on newsstands all over the United States of America, or read it on the internet, www.dailynewsmckeesport.com. You can find me under the columnist section. That's it.
If you want to read my column, you can pick it up on the newsstands tomorrow, or you can read it on the web. It's www.triblab.com/sports. I tackled the tough issue of Survivor Series this week in the column. Just scroll down and look for the person who doesn't have a mugshot on his website. That's me.
And don't forget our website, which we all have pictures on, I'd like to add, except obviously Rennie for that matter, www.prowrestlingreview.com, and try the trivia just for the hell of it. And this week's question is, notwithstanding the hint I gave you throughout the show, in the first Survivor Series, I believe it was 87, I don't know where it originated from.
It was 87.
87.
Ohio.
Name the people, I guess you can people, that comprised Hogan and Andre's teams. And for bonus, rewind the show and listen to the hint I gave you. So answer the 3, the one from this show, and you'll win something.
We should also point out, if you want to send mail to us, for good mail and for constructive criticism, it's prowrestlingreview@lycos.com. For pure unadulterated hatred and just to spew venom, it's IHatePWR@cs.com. It doesn't have to be spelled correctly because God knows it won't be. And it doesn't have to be signed because, again, we all know it won't be. So.
And keep the entries in the coming for the PWR End of the Year Awards.
That's right.
We're enjoying reading them. Tom, take us away.
And for me, for Rennie, and for Brian, and for Jim, who's off in Studio 75 for this matter, this is a Pro Wrestling Review. We'll be back next week, unless you don't want us to be, which is a lie anyway, because we will be back, so we'll see you.